There's a person in your life who never calls for help. Their car breaks down, they figure it out themselves, their heart breaks, they process it alone, something falls apart at 2 a.m., and they don't text anyone. They just handle it. And from the outside, it looks like strength. But if you look a little closer, it's something else entirely. Today, we're going inside the psychology of people who fix everything alone, why they do it, where it started, and what it's quietly costing them. Here's the thing nobody talks about. People who fix everything alone didn't start that way. Nobody is born self-sufficient. Every child comes into the world completely dependent, needing warmth, needing comfort, needing someone to show up when things fall apart. But for some people, that showing up didn't happen consistently. Maybe the parent was there physically but emotionally absent. Maybe asking for help was met with frustration or dismissal, or the quiet message that needing something made you a burden. Maybe they watched a parent struggle alone, carrying everything silently, and learned without being told that this is just what you do. So they adapted. They stopped asking, not because they didn't need things, but because needing things started to feel unsafe. Psychologist John Bowlby called this avoidant attachment, a pattern that develops when a child learns that expressing needs doesn't bring comfort, it brings distance. So the nervous system makes a logical decision. I'll handle it myself. And at the time, it worked. But the strategies we build to survive childhood have a way of following us into adulthood, into our friendships, into our relationships, into every moment someone offers to help and we say, I'm fine, I've got it. Now here's where it gets complicated, because from the outside, the person who fixes everything alone looks impressive. They're capable, reliable, low maintenance, the kind of person people say they wish they had more of. But on the inside, it's exhausting. There's a constant low-level hypervigilance, always scanning for what might go wrong next, always preparing, always solving before the problem even fully arrives. They struggle to delegate, not because they think others are incompetent, but because handing something off means trusting someone else to handle it. And trust has a complicated history. They downplay their own pain. When something hurts, they minimize it, to others and even to themselves, because acknowledging pain means admitting you need something, and needing something means being vulnerable. And vulnerability feels like standing on ice that might crack. Psychologists call this pattern compulsive self-reliance, and research shows it's not just a personality trait, it's a coping mechanism, one that was built for a specific environment and never got updated. Here's what it costs, not in the big dramatic ways, but in the quiet ones. It costs connection, because here's what most people don't realize. Vulnerability isn't just about receiving help, it's about letting people in, and when you never let anyone help you, you're also never fully letting anyone see you. People who fix everything alone often have relationships that feel surface level, even when they care deeply, because real intimacy requires showing someone your incomplete parts, your uncertain parts, the parts that don't have it figured out yet, and they've spent years hiding those parts, even from themselves. It costs their body too. Chronic self-reliance keeps the nervous system in a constant state of low-grade alert. The cortisol stays elevated, the jaw stays tight, the shoulders stay up, because somewhere underneath all that capability is a person who has never fully exhaled, who has never fully believed that it's safe to put the weight down. Now, I want to say something carefully here. Self-reliance isn't the problem. Being capable is not a flaw. Being someone people can count on is not something to fix. The question is just, is it a choice or is it a compulsion? Can you receive help when you genuinely need it? Or does even the offer of help trigger something that makes you pull back and say, no, I'm fine, before you've even checked whether you actually are? That's the line. The path forward isn't becoming someone who falls apart. It's becoming someone who has the option to lean on others and can choose it consciously without shame. It starts with noticing when the automatic response to struggle is isolation. Noticing when someone offers help and you feel the reflex to deflect before you've even considered it. Then it's about practicing, in small ways, letting someone in. Not a grand gesture of vulnerability, just accepting when someone offers to carry something, saying, actually, I could use some help with this even when it feels unnecessary, even when you could do it yourself, because the brain learns by doing, and every small moment of receiving, without the world ending, without being seen as weak, without being abandoned, updates the story, slowly, quietly, the way all real healing happens. If you recognized yourself in this, I want you to know something. The fact that you learned to handle everything alone doesn't mean you were strong enough not to need anyone. It means you were young and scared and you did what you had to do. That deserves compassion, not pride, not shame, just compassion. You were never meant to carry all of it alone. And the people in your life who want to help you, let them. Not because you can't do it yourself, but because you don't have to. If this reached something in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Take care of yourself.